Alright, back again. Cup of tea time again. So once again, a lot more dust. That whole disc is basically gone now on that machine. I might save all this dust. It looks fairly coarse. I'll probably be able to use it for sandblasting something. It's about half a kilo there. Made a bit of progress today. Where do I start? So, there's one of my little doggies. Hello, little fella. Yeah. There's the other one. Hello. So I've got a fair amount of this done today. A lot of measuring, and you can guess. So, as I said, this box section that I'd made, I had to measure out a certain length for a stay, and then there's a bracket that was built for the bus on this side as well. Had to jerry rig up some wheels under there. I'm about half a centimetre off on height. I should have left one wheel and then lined these up and welded it, but I'll just have to block under one of them, I think. I've got another bar that goes across there, and I'm going to be clamping either side with the same system as this here. As you can see, I can clamp two pieces together, and it's infinitely movable. But this is what I mainly did today. I'm just trying to get it off. So what it does is, the front beam on the bus, you can imagine there's 4 bolts. This is the front two, and that's fairly stout angle iron. I turned it into a box section here, and this is drilled out, and then this was cut on an angle, and then I measured out to the front of the bumper bar, and then I knew how far I could have this out. It looks fairly simple, but putting it into practice is a little bit different. So it looks pretty good though. It's starting to come together. It's all nice and square, which is pretty important with these things. So that's able to be bolted straight onto the frame of the bus. If I feel that it's not sturdy enough, I've made allowance to bring another beam straight out to the bottom of the frame that I've built, and I'll weld it actually to the frame, and then I'll really triangulate it in and keep it square. But I'm hoping that should be fairly good. There's a lot of steel here, so there's not going to be any movement. There'll be a little movement here, but I think if I just wedge it either side, it should be fine. I might even weld it, throw a few tacks in it, doesn't really matter. This side here, I haven't managed to get to the end part yet, so similar deal. Still not sure where I should be mounting it. I don't want to mount it to the spring plates because they move, and I don't want to take all that apart because I feel that the bolts that hold the spring plates in are too rusted, and once I get into that, it'll just be another drama upon drama, so I won't be able to get it up. So I'm thinking of somewhere else to mount it. And as you know, anyone who's followed this build, there really isn't much in the back area here, so I don't really have a lot to go on to. I do have the suspension mounts, which is probably the best bet. So that's in up under here, just up, just there. So you can see it just there. And that's probably my best bet because that is welded to the frame. That is solid over that end as well, although the frame is non-existent from that point on. So I have that point and I have this point. They're very wide though. I didn't really want to be out that wide, but that's okay. And I've got a starter motor coming for this engine. It's being delivered in the next couple of days, which is pretty cool. 6-volt starter. And that should be nice. Hopefully by the time that turns up, I'll have this on its rotisserie. This hoist that I've got, I'm probably going to sell that off because it's just taking up too much room. It's really good for lifting cars, but you sort of come in from the side and you can just lift it straight up. It's basically like a lift, but a lot less stable and a lot more scary. But I'm really looking forward to getting this bus up on the rotisserie, just because it's very difficult to work. This whole side isn't attached at all, so I've only really been working on getting the frame structure sorted out and sort of squaring off some of this front end. And then obviously the dog legs and the floor here, a lot of this isn't welded underneath, so it's about time I cleaned up in here too. I definitely think I'll be getting rid of these shelving units. It's really, I was looking at one of my videos when I had it all cleared out and it was just the bus. It was so much easier to walk around, so I have to talk to the better half and see if I can scam some room in the house somewhere. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but I'll have to go outside. But yeah, that's my progress report for the day. And I also didn't want to, I know some people join them onto the rotisseries onto the front bumper bar mounts, but as you know, these mounts, I made them and they're not original and they're also not fully welded. So if I was to take the bumper bar off now and try and lift this bus up on that point there, it would just crack and bend the frame. So I've gone for the strongest points that I know, which are the obviously where your geometry starts from, or your wheel alignment and everything. So I figure that's the strongest point, and yeah, just go straight in there. And I just bought 2 smaller bolts, well, for each side, but these have all been threaded and tapped again. As you know, I rebuilt this whole section, so basically this whole thing was rebuilt in sections, and they just go in and lock those parts. The brackets just go straight down and straight out underneath the bumper bar, and this just goes you know, just screws straight into it and locks it in. But small steps. I'm sure anyone else who's built a rotisserie like this knows how much is involved. I've seen a few of the round ones out there, and they've got a few problems I can see. Is the wheels that you have your circle on underneath, it's easy for junk to get caught up in it, and it could be quite dangerous. You've got to really make sure you've got them clean all the time. And I can see that, you know, 5 or 6 millimeters movement down there can actually make a big difference up higher, because the the circle is probably 9 feet round, and if you've got nearly a centimetre movement this way, which it does do, I've seen them, they track funny, and it would wobble a lot. So that for me was why I didn't do that way, and also I don't have the room here, so that's why I went with this way. And it's a lot easier to move around. If I wanted to, when my bus is on here, and I can actually lock all this down, I can weld it, actually weld this in place here or up along the top, and I could put that on a tow truck and I would have no issue with that at all. If I was concerned, I'd block under here. I put 4 blocks and tie it down, but there's no way you'd get a bus on one of those Ferris wheel type things. They're just too massive. So that was another reason why I didn't do it. Firstly, I wouldn't be able to get it in and out. I like the idea of being able to pull it out of the garage and spin it around out here, get a good light on it and see what I'm doing, and then push it back in if I need to turn it around. And also the idea of moving it, because I don't want to stay in this place forever. It's not really what I want, where I want to be. So putting this on a tow truck would be quite easily now, because there's no way you can move it like this now. As I said, you know, when I first got the bus, it was towed out of its spot. It was in mud and it fell apart like a big house of cards. The front end actually just came straight off the bus. And it went with the tow truck. They had a chain on it underneath here and just reefed it, and it just fell off and the doors fell out. And then the roof caved in, and then the sides fell out, and then the back fell off because there was nothing in the center, and it was just a big mess. So bringing it back slowly but surely, and I'm not going to compromise on the welding. I've seen a few people out there who do repairs on parts, and they just do, like, you know, say for instance the bottom of a door, they'll get a patch piece that they buy and they'll put 5 or 6 tacks on it. I'm talking about the inside structure, and then, you know, they grind those flat and then they put some bog over the top of it and call it done. That's not what I'm doing. So yeah, this is all solid. All of this steel is nearly twice as thick as what it came from the factory, and that's just how I want it. Everything's solid welded all the way along. There's no 6 tacks along or whatever and bog over it. So yeah, coming along well. I'd love to get the roof onto this as well, so I think that'll be a little bit of a fun exercise when this is finally on the rotisserie, being able to line the roof up correctly. I think that's probably not a wise choice just yet. A lot of that back end is in dire need of fixing. So, you know, for anyone who's new, the idea is to keep the look of this bus on the outside as much as possible. You know, I've got parts that I've just tacked in here for now, because I know they'll have to be moved later on. All the way along actually was all rusted away, but even up here, this is all new. This was all rusted away all the way along. So the idea is to keep this patina that is here. You can see there's layers of paint here. And there's my little lichen. He's still going, still holding in there just. Come on, water. There we go. I haven't done that for a while. Yeah, so the idea is to keep it to have that patina that it has, because that's really important. And but have the most solid frame possible. Basically, from the inside out, the bones of this vehicle will be brand new. And I'm not sort of worried that if it takes me a while, that's not really that important to me. I much prefer to do all the framework nice and strong, and I know it's going to last my lifetime at least. And you know, who wants to jerry rig a vehicle and have, you know, compromised metal underneath and start tacking on bits and pieces, and you know, 5 years down the track someone's driving it and they have an accident and someone dies because of that one particular part that wasn't welded correctly. I mean, who's liable? I don't want that over my head, so I'll take my time, but I will start doing a lot of work every day now. I'll probably start by cleaning up in here tomorrow. And I mean, that's what I did with this other car out here, the one that's under the tarp there. The bottom 1.5 feet of that whole car has all been handmade, all brand new steel, all zinc anneal, and it's twice as thick as what it came from in the factory, and that will last a long, long time. So no little patches here and there for me when it comes to framework. Yeah, anyway, that's about it. My rant is over for the day, and I'll see you next time.